pros like to say, there's no limit to the mermaid's magical powers, but only if you believe. Awesome. The dark-haired woman snatched the keys from Rowan and glanced at her friend. Because I believe we need to get laid this week. The girls laughed so hard they practically tripped over themselves getting to the grand staircase. Rowan cocked her head and watched them guffaw their way to the landing, banging their rolling suitcases against the already banged-up oak steps. For about the 10th time that day, she imagined how horrified her loony great-great-grandfather would be at the state of this place. Rutherford Flynn's mansion was once considered an architectural wonder, a symbol of the family patriarch's huge ego, legendary business acumen, enormous wallet, and his enduring passion for his wife, a woman he swore was a mermaid. Oh, ma'am, we forgot to ask, where's our room? Ma'am? Rowan was only 30, just a few years older than these girls. Since when was she a damn ma'am? Oh, that's right. She'd become a ma'am the day she'd left the real world to become the spinster innkeeper of Bayberry Island. Turn right at the top of the stairs. Rowan heard the forced cheerfulness disappear from her voice. It's the second room on the left. Enjoy your stay, ladies. We are so going to try. As the giggling and suitcase dragging continued directly overhead, Rowan propped her elbows on the old wood of the front desk and let her face fall into her hands. So she was a ma'am now. A ma'am with 3 check-ins arriving on the evening ferry. She was a ma'am with 1 clogged toilet on the 3rd floor, 22 guests for breakfast tomorrow, 4 temporary maids who spoke as many languages, and 8 hellish days until the island's annual mermaid festival had run its course. Oh, and one more detail. The business was $27,000 in the hole for the year, losses that absolutely had to be made up in the coming week, or bankruptcy was a distinct possibility. Which also was this ma'am's fault. Thank you very much. And every second Rowan stayed on the island playing pimp to the mermaid legend was a reminder of the lethal error she'd made while visiting her family exactly 3 years before. She'd dropped her guard with that fish bitch just long enough to leave her vulnerable to heartbreak, betrayal, and the theft of what little remained of the Flynn family fortune. It was hard to believe, but Rowan had been happy before then. She'd studied organizational psychology and had a career she loved, working as an executive recruiter in the higher education field. She had a great apartment in Boston and a busy social life. So what if she hadn't found her true love? She'd been in no rush. But she'd returned for the Mermaid Festival that year and met a B&B guest named Frederick Tyson. He was so charming, handsome, and witty that before she could say, "Hold on a jiff while I check your references," Rowan had fallen insanely in love with a complete stranger determined to whisk her away to New York. Her mother and her cronies insisted it was the legend at work and that Frederick was her destiny. As it turned out, her charming, handsome, and witty stranger might have loved her, but he also happened to be a Wall Street con man who used her to steal what remained of her family's money. Destiny sucked. Of course, her mother wasn't entirely to blame for her downfall. Rowan should have known better. But she still had the right to despise anything and everything related to the frickin' mermaid until the day she died. The familiar putt-putt of a car engine caught her attention, and Rowan raised her head to look out the beveled glass of the heavily carved front doors. She watched the VW Bug plastered with iridescent fish scales come to a stop in the semicircle driveway. Since it was festival week, the car was decked out for maximum gawking effect, with its headlights covered in huge plastic seashells and a giant-assed mermaid tail sticking out from the trunk. Her mother got out of the car and strolled through the door. "Hi, honey. Everything going smoothly? How many more are due on the last ferry?" Rowan gave Mona the once-over and smiled. Like the car, her mother was in her festival finery, in her case, the formal costume of the president of the Bayberry Island Mermaid Society. Mona's